I opened the bedroom door and my lungs locked. There she was, my wife, Madison, sitting on the edge of our bed, lips locked with my brother, Dylan, his hand halfway up her silk robe like he king owned her. Her laugh when she noticed me standing there? Cold. Calculated. Not even a flinch of guilt. You can't do anything about it, she said with a smirk. Cry in court. Let me take a step back for a second. No, screw that. There's no stepping back from this. You need to understand exactly how the knife went in. I'd just flown back early from Chicago. Business trip got cut short after a meeting was canceled. I wanted to surprise Madison. Instead, I got a front row seat to the circus that my life had become. I even stopped by her favorite bakery on the way, some bougie place with French pastries she pretends to like for Instagram clout. The house was too quiet when I stepped in. Our dog, Cooper, didn't even bark like he usually did. My gut twisted. I don't know if you've ever felt your instincts turn into a screaming siren in your skull, but that's what happened. I heard music. Our bedroom door closed. Giggling behind it. A voice I knew. Two voices. Familiar. I opened the door. And there they were. Madison looked like the cover of a magazine. Long legs crossed, lips glossy, that same smug expression she gives waiters when her wine isn't poured right. Dylan, my younger brother, didn't even pretend to be ashamed. He stood up, chest puffed like he earned a damn trophy. You're early, Madison said, brushing her hair off her shoulder, as if she hadn't just been tongue-deep with my own blood. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. You always work so much, baby, she purred, standing and adjusting her robe so slowly, so deliberately, like I was the intruder. What did you expect? You're married to someone like me. You thought a croissant and your tired smile were going to keep me loyal. Dylan didn't say a word. Just stood there like the coward he was. And me? My body was frozen, but my mind was racing. Not with heartbreak. Not even with anger. With clarity. Cold, brutal clarity. You thought I'd beg? I finally said, my voice low, steady. That I'd drop to my knees and plead for your love? She didn't answer. Just tilted her head like a spoiled cat. I walked over to the closet, pulled out the manila envelope I had been preparing for weeks. Madison's games weren't new. I'd seen the signs. Late night, yoga. Business, retreats to Vegas. A sudden obsession with her phone's privacy settings. But catching her with my brother? That was a twist I didn't predict. I tossed the envelope on the bed between them. Inside were papers, divorce papers, photos from the PI I'd hired, a printout of her secret bank account transfers, her burner phone records, everything. I'm giving you an easy exit, I said. Don't worry, I'm not the crying type. But you will be. For the first time, Madison's face changed. She blinked. Dylan turned pale. You're bluffing, she hissed, stepping forward. Try me. I walked out. Didn't even slam the door. Just left it open so they could stare at the mess they made. She thought I'd shatter. She thought I'd fall apart without her gold-plated kisses and fake affection. But she underestimated me. And regret? Regret found her real fast. Because what she didn't know, yet, was that I'd already bought the house out from under her name last month. That her credit cards were about to bounce. That the prenup she never bothered to read had a very interesting clause. She thought I'd cry in court? No. I was going to win in court. And Madison? Madison was about to lose everything. She called me that night. 5 times. I didn't pick up. Then she tried texting first sweet, then nasty, then desperate. Typical Madison. One message stood out. We need to talk. Please. You don't understand everything. Oh, I understood perfectly. She was trying to get ahead of the fallout. Trying to spin it before it blew up in her face. I spent the night at my friend Marcus's place. Told him everything. He was the one who had warned me about Dylan years ago. Said he was a leech in designer clothes. Should have listened. The next morning, I met with my lawyer. Madison still didn't know how deep this was going. She thought she was the puppet master. But I was already cutting the strings. A week passed. My phone buzzed constantly, calls from her, her mother, even Dylan. I ignored them all. Then came the envelope. Delivered by hand. Inside? A handwritten letter. From Madison. Classic narcissist move. When words don't work in person, put on a fake soul in writing. I opened it with a smirk. Jason, I know you hate me. I know what you saw looked bad. But please, hear me out. Dylan kissed me, not the other way around. It was a moment of weakness, nothing more. You're my husband. My partner. I've made mistakes, but haven't we both? Let's not throw away years over a misunderstanding. I still love you. Please come home. It was almost impressive how many lies she squeezed into one page. A misunderstanding? I stood there watching her moan into my brother's mouth. Still love me? She hadn't looked at me like a man in months. I didn't respond. I waited, because I knew her next move. Madison didn't like being ignored. She thrived on attention, on control. And the moment she realized I wasn't playing her game anymore, she showed up. It was a Tuesday. I was at the house, packing the last of my things when I heard the familiar sound of her heels on the driveway. She let herself in, still acting like she owned the place. She had on a tight black dress, full makeup, perfume so strong it nearly punched me. "You're here," she said like it was some grand revelation. I didn't stop boxing up the dishes. "I want to talk," she said, stepping closer. "You owe me that." I finally turned to her. "I owe you nothing." Her face twitched. That crack in her confidence? It was the first real thing I'd seen from her in months. "You're just going to walk away from everything we built?" "You mean everything I built while you were riding my brother in my bed?" Her mouth dropped open. The look of shock? Priceless. "You're disgusting," I added. "And delusional if you think you're the victim." Madison's voice turned sharp, venomous. "I made you who you are. Without me, you'd still be in that crummy apartment with your hand-me-down suits. You think you're a man now just because you finally grew a spine." I took a step toward her, calm, deadly calm. "No, Madison. I'm a man now because I finally realized what you are." That shut her up. She tried again, softer this time. "Jason, I was lonely. You were always working, always gone. I made a mistake." "More than once," I said. "I have the hotel records. The texts. Dylan wasn't the first, was he?" She said nothing. And in that silence, I found everything I needed. "You want a confession?" she finally said, arms crossed. "Fine. I used you. I liked your money, your name, your stability. But I never thought you'd actually leave me. I figured you'd cry, grovel, maybe try to win me back like all those pathetic men do." "Too bad for you," I said, grabbing my last box. "I'm not like those men." She tried to block the door. I brushed past her. As I walked away, she spat. "You'll regret this, Jason. You're nothing without me." But that's where she was wrong, because I had already been nothing with her. And now? Now I was free. 3 days after I walked out, Dylan showed up at my office. No call, no warning. Just walked in like he owned the place. My assistant tried to stop him, but I told her to let him through. I wanted to see his face. He looked nervous, pale, like he hadn't slept in days. "Good. Jason," he said, closing the door behind him. "I messed up, man. I didn't mean for things to get like this." I leaned back in my chair and just stared at him. Let him sweat. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "It started with drinks one night when you were in New York. I was drunk. She came on strong. You know how Madison is." I said nothing. "I thought it would be a one-time thing," he continued. "But she kept calling. I didn't want to betray you, I swear, Jason. It just spiraled. UF*** kid my wife in my bed," I said calmly, "while our wedding photos stared at you from the wall. You didn't spiral, Dylan. You dove." He looked like he wanted to say more. Apologize again. Justify it somehow. But the way I looked at him, he knew it wouldn't matter. "What do you want?" I asked. "I want to fix this." I laughed. It was bitter, sharp, and loud enough that he flinched. "Fix it? You think this is a sitcom? You don't fix what you shattered. You live with it." "I'll tell Mom and Dad the truth," he offered. "They still think you just left Madison out of nowhere." "Don't bother," I said. "They'll believe what they want. Besides, Madison already told them I was emotionally abusive and unstable." That I snapped. His face went pale again. "She said what?" "Oh, she's good." I smiled coldly. "Said you tried to comfort her after one of my rage episodes. That you were her only support. That she didn't mean for it to happen. But love is love." He sat down hard in the chair across from me. Silent. I leaned forward. "You thought you were her hero. Now you're just her excuse." He left without another word. A week later, I saw Madison again. Not in person. Online. Someone sent me a link to a video she posted on her social media, crying, full makeup, talking about being betrayed and abandoned by the man she loved. She even quoted the Bible. She was milking it for sympathy, raking in likes and comments from people who had no idea she'd been playing mattress games with my brother while I built a life for us. I didn't comment. I didn't post anything. I let her scream into the void while I quietly made moves behind the curtain. Remember that prenup she didn't read? It had a clause. Infidelity voids her claim to spousal support and joint assets. And I had proof. My lawyer filed everything. She got served 2 days later. And then came the phone call. Jason, we need to talk. Please. I didn't know it would go this far. Oh, now you care? I made mistakes, but I don't deserve to be left with nothing. I let the silence stretch. I thought you loved me, she said, softer now, almost like a whimper. I closed my eyes for a moment. I remembered the way she looked when we first met, how she laughed, how she held my hand like I was her anchor. Then I remembered her with Dylan. Her smirk. Her words. You can't do anything about it. Cry in court. I hung up and blocked her. Later that week, Marcus and I went out for drinks. We hadn't done that in ages. I told him everything. At some point during the night, I looked around the bar. Saw couples laughing, people flirting, music playing. And I felt it. Not sadness. Not rage. Freedom. I wasn't broken. I wasn't ruined. I was reborn. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Madison tried to stall, of course, claimed she needed time, claimed she was emotionally unfit to attend the first hearing. Her lawyer reached out with this pathetic proposal: split the house, a portion of my business equity, monthly support for a temporary adjustment period. They clearly thought I'd fold, that I'd want to avoid drama, that I'd give in to avoid dragging it out. They didn't know what I had in my back pocket. See, Madison had a thing for recording her little escapades. Hidden folders, private cloud backups. She probably thought she was slick, but my tech guy found everything. The hotel meetups, the burner phone selfies, her half-naked photos sent to my brother, calling him my real man. And in one particularly charming clip, she actually laughed while lying naked in bed, saying, Jason's probably in some meeting thinking I'm getting a massage. If only he knew where Dylan's hands were. That one? That video was the coffin nail. We submitted it to the court with the rest of the documentation. Her lawyer didn't even try to argue it. Just sat there red-faced while she stared straight ahead like a robot that just short-circuited. She wouldn't look at me. Not once. That was her move now, pretend she was above it. Above me. After the hearing, she actually had the gall to follow me outside, in her little white coat and crocodile tears. You ruined me, she whispered. I turned, looked her dead in the eye. No, Madison. You did that all by yourself. I just made sure you felt it. She tried to slap me. Missed. And then she screamed, right there on the courthouse steps. A full tantrum. You were supposed to fight for me. You were supposed to care. People stopped to watch. Phones came out. And me? I smiled. 2 weeks after the court finalized everything, I got a call from Dylan. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. He sounded like sh*T, said Madison had gone cold on him. Said she started locking her phone, disappearing for hours, always vague about who she was with. She told him to trust her, same line she once used on me. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the phone. You get it now? I said. You never mattered to her. You were just convenient. The second you became boring, she moved on. I think she's seeing someone else, he mumbled. Some older guy, drives a Benz. He picked her up outside her gym last week. I let the silence sit before I answered. Congratulations, I said. You finally understand who she is. Click. I blocked his number too. Months passed. I focused on rebuilding my business, my life, myself. Took up boxing. Started traveling. Got new furniture. Burned old photos. Donated her clothes. Every trace of her gone. But you know what stuck? The lesson. That blind loyalty is a poison when it's pointed at the wrong person. That loving someone who doesn't value you isn't love. It's self-harm. People still ask sometimes what happened. I just say, she kissed my brother. I filed the paperwork. That's all you need to know. But inside, I remember everything. How she looked at me like I was beneath her. How she laughed at my pain. How she thought I'd beg. And how, in the end, I left her standing in the ruins she built with her own 2 hands, while I walked away with my dignity, my future, and my soul intact. One morning, about 6 months after the divorce, I got a call from an unknown number while I was having coffee on my balcony. Normally I ignore those, but something told me to pick up. It was her mother. Jason, she said in a tired voice, I'm not calling to defend Madison. God knows I warned her. But she's not doing well. I stayed silent, waiting. She's been staying with different people. Burned through her savings. Her new, whatever he is, left her 2 weeks ago. Took the car he loaned her. She's been trying to reach you. I know, I said. I blocked her for a reason. She's lost, Jason. She says she made a mistake. She didn't say it because she missed me. She said it because she finally realized the ride was over. No more first-class flights, no more spa weekends, no more catered parties with people pretending to like her because of my last name. She wasn't calling out of guilt. She was calling because rock bottom had no pillows. She thought I'd plead for her love, I said flatly. I let her leave, and now regret found her. That's not my problem. There was silence on the other end. Then the mother whispered, I told her this would happen. I hung up. That night, I sat at my desk and pulled out a small, beat-up box I'd kept at the back of my drawer. Inside were the last pieces I hadn't thrown away, our wedding photo, the vows I wrote, and one of her old letters from our first anniversary. I read it once slowly. She talked about how she wanted to grow old with me, how I made her feel safe, how I was the only one who truly saw her. It was all fiction, crafted by someone who saw love as leverage and loyalty as a weakness. I set the letter down, took a breath, and burned every single piece. Not out of rage. Out of release. I was done carrying her memory like a weight. Done romanticizing a woman who weaponized affection, who humiliated me in my own home, who kissed my brother and laughed in my face. I was building something now. Something real. The best part? I didn't need revenge. Life was handling that for me. People began to see her for who she really was. Friends we once shared stopped returning her messages. Her influencer circle grew quiet. Sponsors dropped her after her staged sob story fell apart when screenshots started circulating online, ones where she bragged about playing the victim game and laughing at the gullible followers. Turns out, the world doesn't always forgive liars, especially not ones who do it with lip gloss and fake tears. And me? I moved on. Started seeing someone. Nothing serious at first. Just long walks, honest conversations, real connection. It felt strange at first, being with someone who didn't play mind games or hide behind fake kindness. It felt good. She once asked me, what happened with your ex? I told her the truth. Not the drama, not the courtroom play-by-play. Just this. She mistook my kindness for weakness. And when she crossed the line, she found out I had a limit. She nodded like she understood. And that was enough. Because I wasn't bitter anymore. Just awake. People like Madison don't expect consequences. They expect tears, begging second chances. But every now and then, they run into someone who doesn't play by their rules. Someone who doesn't scream or chase or fall apart. Someone who just walks away. And that's what hurts them the most. A year had passed. I'd nearly forgotten what it felt like to live without a knot in my chest. Without second-guessing every glance, every word, every night she came home late. I slept better. Laughed more. Ate dinner without silence pressing down like a concrete block. Then, one evening, I got a message from a mutual friend, Emily, one of the only people who had stayed neutral through the chaos. She sent me a photo. It was Madison, sitting alone in a cheap diner somewhere outside town. No makeup. Hair in a messy bun. She looked thinner, older, worn down. Not the polished social queen she once paraded around as. The caption Emily added? She asked about you. I stared at the photo for a long time. My first instinct was a mix of satisfaction and disgust. But then came something stranger, indifference. I didn't feel the high I thought I would seeing her like that. Just nothing. I didn't reply to Emily. There was nothing to say. The next day, I ran into Dylan. Of all places, it was at a gas station. He looked rough, hoodie, dark circles under his eyes, hand trembling slightly while pumping gas. He saw me before I saw him. I didn't stop walking. Jason, he called out. Wait up, man. I paused, slowly turned. He looked like hell. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You already said that, I replied. I know, but he hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. I didn't think she'd do the same to me. There it was. She did. I asked, raising a brow. He nodded, eyes down. Found out she was seeing some older guy behind my back. Banker or something. She was living with him. Told me I was immature, and she needed a real man. I almost laughed. Almost. She's consistent, I said. Guess I deserved it, he muttered. I looked at him, really looked at him. This wasn't a man standing tall. This was someone who learned the hard way what betrayal tastes like. Yeah, I said. You did. He nodded once, quiet. And that was it. He didn't beg. Didn't try to fix anything. Just accepted it. Walked back to his car like a man walking away from a burned house. Later that week, Madison called again from a new number. I knew it was her the moment it rang. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Jason, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted to say something. I miss you. Not just the house or the lifestyle, I miss you. The way you used to look at me. The way you cared, even when I didn't deserve it. I didn't understand what I had until I lost it. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." There was a pause. Her voice cracked. "If you could give me a chance, just to talk, just to explain." Delete. I didn't need to hear the rest. Because this wasn't about love. This was about her being alone. Forgotten. Watching the walls close in and realizing no one was coming to save her. That the man she used to mock, the one she thought was weak, turned out to be the only one who ever truly loved her. And now? He was gone. Forever. I stood by the window of my new apartment, glass of bourbon in hand, looking at the skyline. Peace. Real peace. The kind that doesn't depend on someone else's approval. The kind earned through fire. I didn't hate her anymore, but I'd never forgive her. Some wounds stop bleeding, but they never really close. And if she ever calls again, she'll hear nothing but silence. 2 more years passed. I barely remembered the sound of her voice. Life had changed so much, it almost felt like someone else's story. My business had tripled in value. I'd moved into a loft downtown, nothing extravagant, just clean, quiet, mine. I started hosting dinner parties, reconnecting with old friends who used to tiptoe around us when Madison was around. My days weren't filled with suspicion anymore. I no longer kept one ear open for lies. Then came a wedding invitation. It was Marcus. He'd found someone incredible, funny, sharp, real. He wanted me to be his best man. Of course, I said yes. At the reception, under soft lights and good jazz, I met someone. Her name was Claire. She wasn't flashy. She didn't bat her lashes or speak in manipulation. She asked real questions and listened like the answers mattered. Her smile wasn't painted, it was genuine. We talked until the staff started clearing tables. I walked her to her car, and as she turned to say goodnight, I saw it in her eyes, this quiet honesty I hadn't seen in years. It rattled me. In a good way. She didn't ask about my past. Not at first. She just saw me. 3 months later, I told her everything. Not the gory details, but enough. She didn't flinch. She didn't judge. She just said, "Thank you for trusting me with that." And suddenly, I realized. I'd healed. Not because of time. Because I had finally learned what it felt like to be seen without being used. One rainy afternoon, while we were cooking dinner together, she pulled a dusty box from the back of my kitchen cabinet. "Should I toss this?" she asked, holding it up. It was one of the last untouched corners of my old life. A box labeled Madison, legal. I hadn't opened it since the divorce was finalized. Didn't need to. I took it, walked it outside to the dumpster, and threw it in. That night, I slept like a man who no longer owed anything to his pain. Then one evening, completely out of nowhere, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, written in neat cursive. Inside was a single sheet of paper. I know I destroyed everything. I know I don't deserve a reply. But I wanted you to know that I still think about you. I still remember the man who held me when I cried about my dad. The man who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I was just too blind and too broken to see it. It wasn't signed, but I didn't need a name. I set the letter down, walked into the living room where Claire sat reading. I never mentioned it to her. Not because I was hiding anything. Because it wasn't worth mentioning. That chapter was closed. Madison had her chance. She lit the match herself. And now all she had left were ashes and memories of what she used to have. And me? I was finally fully alive. One morning, Claire and I were sitting at a small cafe near the river, sipping coffee and watching the mist lift off the water. She was talking about a book she'd just finished when she paused mid-sentence and looked past me, her brow tightening just slightly. I turned around. Madison. She looked nothing like the woman I'd once known. Her designer gloss was gone. The sharp heels traded for worn-out flats. No makeup. Her eyes were hollow, like someone who hadn't been sleeping or dreaming. She froze when she saw me. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. Claire reached over and gently placed her hand on mine. I didn't look at Madison again, but I felt her, standing there like a ghost from a life I didn't claim anymore. Eventually, she turned and walked away. Claire didn't ask. She didn't need to. I gave her hand a soft squeeze and kept talking about our weekend plans. That was the moment I knew I was done with the past. Not just emotionally, completely. It held no weight, no curiosity, no sting. A few months later, I got news from an old colleague. Madison had declared bankruptcy. Apparently, she tried to launch a lifestyle brand using borrowed money and fake promises. It tanked fast. No investors wanted to touch her name after her social credibility collapsed. Dylan had vanished. Rumor was he left the country after getting scammed in some crypto scheme. I should have felt something, but I didn't. She'd played her hand, bet against the one man who actually gave a damn, and lost. Not because I ruined her, but because she never knew what she had to begin with. It was poetic, in its own brutal way. Claire and I got engaged a year later. Nothing extravagant. Just us, on a quiet beach at sunset, with her laughing as I fumbled the ring box because my hands were shaking like a nervous teenager. She said yes. And as we stood there, waves tugging at our feet, I realized something. Madison never really broke me. She sharpened me. She burned away the illusion I had of love, trust, and forever. And in that fire, I found someone real. Someone who didn't need to be impressed. Who didn't want my name or my money, just me. And so now, when people ask what happened between me and Madison, I just smile and say, she was my greatest mistake, and my greatest lesson, and I wouldn't trade that lesson for anything.